Hi, we'll carry on looking at advanced number skills, and we're going to look at repeated fractional percentage change. So repeated fractional change first. A baby weighing 6 pounds at birth increases its weight by a fifth each day. How much will it weigh after 4 days? Now we start off differently. We don't write down the fraction first. We write down the original amount as a fraction. What do you mean the original amount as a fraction? The original amount as a fraction of the original amount is always 1. So the first thing we write down is 1. And then we write down a fraction. Now, because it was an increase, we add it. Yeah. Now we put brackets around it. Now, why do we put brackets around it? Well, because it's repeated, and it's repeated 4 times. It increases each day, and there's 4 days. And this becomes the power of the expression within the bracket. Then we multiply that by the original amount. If we put the units in, we should be able to get the units of the answer. So let's do that then. It's 1 plus 1/5 all to the power 4 times 6. There's the answer. It's an improper fraction. We'll do the fraction to decimals button. And here's our answer, 12.4416 pounds. Let's look at that again, but this time with a decrease, and a decrease in percentage terms. So we start any repeated change, and we know it's repeated because it happens each year, and we're looking at the change that's occurred between 2000 and 2012, so it's going to be quite a few years. It's repeated. So we start with 1. We then, because it's a decrease, we take away the change. Now, it's given as a percentage, 3%, which is 3/100ths. Put brackets around it. Now, how many times did that change occur? Well, it happened each year between 2007 and 2012. So it happened 5 times. So that becomes the power of our expression within the bracket. Then times 117,000. Put the currency in, the units. We should get the units of the answer. So brackets 1, take away 3/100ths, that's 3%. All to the power 5 times the original amount gives us 147 pounds 88 pence. 100,471 pounds and 88 pence. Okay, now let's look at a problem where we've got interest. Interest is added onto your loan, so it's an increase in the amount you borrow. And it's compound, so it keeps being added on. It's basically repeated change. So let's see how we can work out the total repayment after 10 years. So we start with 1. That's our fraction of the original amount. Interest is added. So we add 4.5%. 4.5% is 4.5 over 100. How many times did it occur? It occurs every year, and there were 10 years. So the power of our expression there is 10. Then you multiply that by the amount borrowed, loan, it's lent to you, you borrow it, and what do we get? Brackets 1 plus 4.5 over 100 all to the power 10 times. And there's the answer, 31,059 pounds 388 pence, which to the nearest pence is 39 pence. So it's 31,059 and 39 pence, or 0.39. That's the amount that you owe after 10 years. Now, interest, there's a subsidiary part, a second part to this question. How much of this is interest? Interest is the amount that's been added onto your loan. So to work out what the total of that is, we subtract the total amount that has to be repaid. Sorry, from the total amount that has to be repaid, we subtract the amount we borrowed to find, and I can do this without a calculator, that much, £11,059.39 has been added on. Now this isn't far-fetched. Interest rates are 4.5% in many countries or higher. And with compound interest, you can quickly see, if you do the calculation, that for a loan over a long period, you may have to pay an awful lot back for that privilege. Finally, we're going to look at simple interest. This cropped up a few times recently in GCSE questions. I think too many teachers have concentrated on the compound interest. How do we work out this? Now, simple interest is different. It isn't keeping added on. It's a set figure that should added on each year. But how do we work out how much has to be repaid? Well, we start with 1. It's added on, so as before, 4.5 over 100. That's 4.5% as a fraction. But because it's simple interest, we don't raise this whole expression to the power 10, which is the number of times it occurred. We just multiply the percentage by 10. So that's our expression. And then multiply that by the 20,000. Brackets 1 plus 4.5 over 100 times 10, that's the number of times the change occurred, or the simple interest has been added on, times 20,000 equals, here's our answer, £29,000. So that's part A answered. Part B, as before, interest, remember, is what's added on to your loan. So to calculate that, we see how much we have to repay. And from that, take away the amount we borrowed. And our interest is £9,000. So the big difference when it comes to simple interest is you put the number of times it changes inside the brackets, and it's times, not a power. Okay, thank you for listening.